Sometimes it only takes one moment to reveal true character. Barron Trump thought he had the upper hand. But Jasmine Crockett proved otherwise. With just one sharp line, calm and steady, she turned the tables and left the entire room stunned. Tonight, we're going to relive that moment. The moment Jasmine Crockett showed why wit, composure, and confidence can silence even the boldest voices. The room is alive with energy. Bright lights pour down, making the stage feel almost too hot to stand on. The audience leans forward in their seats, waiting. They don't know exactly what's coming, but they can sense it. Something is about to explode. On one side of the stage stands Barron Trump. He's tall, confident, and carries himself with the quiet weight of someone who grew up in a powerful family. His last name alone is enough to command attention. Every step he takes, every glance he throws, people notice. And right now, he's wearing a half smile, the kind of smile that says he's already planning his next move. On the other side sits Representative Jasmine Crockett. She's smaller in frame, but her presence is just as strong, maybe even stronger. Her reputation has already spread far and wide. Quick wit, fearless attitude, and the kind of sharp tongue that makes people think twice before crossing her. She doesn't need to brag. She doesn't need to puff herself up. She just is. And people know better than to underestimate her. The tension between them is almost visible, like a thick rope pulled tight in the air. The crowd feels it. The cameras sense it. Everyone is waiting for that first spark to set it all off. Barron leans back in his chair for a moment, eyes narrowed, almost as if he's calculating. He's not rushing. No, he's enjoying this. He knows people are watching. He knows every word he speaks carries weight, not just because of who he is, but because of the name he represents. And that makes him bold. Maybe too bold. He leans forward, resting his elbows on the table, smirk still in place. It's the look of someone who believes he's about to land a punch no one can dodge. His voice cuts through the room. Who's your mom? Ivanka or Melania? The words hang in the air like smoke. The audience freezes. Some laugh, not because it's funny, but because they can't believe he just said that. Others cover their mouths, eyes darting between the two of them. The question isn't really a question. Everyone knows that. It's a jab, sharp, confusing, meant to throw Jasmine off balance. It's the kind of line meant to embarrass, to trip her up, and maybe even make her look small. And here's the thing. For a split second, Barron looks proud of himself. His smirk deepens. He sits taller like he's already declared victory. To him, it's checkmate, the move that will earn him the spotlight. But the audience doesn't look at Barron for long. Their eyes immediately snap to Jasmine. She hasn't moved. Not yet. She's still as a statue, and that silence, that pause, it's heavy. The kind of silence that makes the room feel smaller, tighter, as if everyone is holding the same breath, waiting. What will she do? Will she laugh awkwardly to brush it off? Will she snap back in anger? Or will she ignore him altogether and let the insult float away? Nobody knows. But everyone is leaning in, waiting, almost desperate to see how she'll respond. Barron thinks he's in control. But the truth is, Jasmine is the one holding the moment. Because sometimes silence is louder than words, and in that moment, with all eyes on her, with the insult still hanging in the air, the stage belongs to her. The crowd doesn't realize it yet. Barron doesn't realize it yet. But something is building, something sharp, something savage. Something that will flip the entire exchange upside down, and when it comes, nobody in that room will forget it. The room is still frozen. Barron's words echo like a stone dropped into a silent lake. Who's your mom? Ivanka or Melania? The smirk on his face says it all. He thinks he's clever. He thinks this is the line that will trip Jasmine up. But let's pause for a moment and look closer at what just happened. This wasn't a real question. Barron didn't want to know anything. No, this was a jab dressed up as curiosity, a trap. A spark thrown into dry grass, hoping it would catch fire. He wanted to confuse Jasmine, maybe even embarrass her. By tossing around names like Ivanka and Melania, he wasn't just being playful. He was suggesting something ridiculous, something meant to unsettle. And for a brief second, it looks like he might succeed. The audience reacts instantly. A ripple moves through the crowd. Some people laugh, but it's not the kind of laugh you hear at a good joke. It's uneasy, the kind of laugh people use when they don't know what else to do. Others gasp, hands flying to their mouths, eyes wide. A few glance at each other nervously, as if asking, "Did he really just say that?" Meanwhile, Barron leans back slightly, almost enjoying the chaos. He's used to this. His entire life has been lived in front of an audience. Cameras, flashing lights, microphones shoved in his face. None of it makes him nervous anymore. In fact, he thrives on it, and in this moment, he believes he's won. He believes Jasmine is stuck. He believes the stage is his. But here's the thing about arrogance. It blinds you. Barron is so sure of his advantage that he doesn't notice the quiet strength across from him. He doesn't see the way Jasmine's expression hasn't cracked. He doesn't hear the silence she's holding like a weapon, because Jasmine Crockett is not like everyone else he's dealt with. She doesn't play by his rules. She doesn't bend to pressure. And she doesn't lose her balance when someone throws shade. No, Jasmine is built for moments like this. It's easy to throw out insults when you're young, when you've been raised in privilege, when you think your name alone is enough to protect you. But it's harder to stand in front of someone who has earned every inch of respect she carries, someone who has fought for her place and refuses to back down. Barron doesn't realize it yet, but he just made a mistake. A big one. He thought the room would laugh at Jasmine. Instead, the room is waiting for her, and in that silence, she holds all the power. It's almost like the crowd is leaning in toward her, waiting, desperate to hear what she's going to say. Even Barron, with all his confidence, glances back at her, just for a moment, to see if she'll crack. But Jasmine doesn't flinch. Not once. She lets the weight of his insult hang in the air. She lets the audience feel the discomfort. She lets Barron believe, for just a few seconds longer, that he's in control. And that's when the story shifts. Because while he's still smiling, while he's still celebrating in his mind, Jasmine is already preparing her move. A move that will land harder than anything Barron could have imagined. She knows exactly what she's about to say. She knows exactly how it's going to hit. And when it lands, Barron won't be smirking anymore. The crowd doesn't know it yet. Barron doesn't know it yet. But the silence isn't weakness. It's the calm before the storm. And that storm is coming fast. Barron leans back, still smirking, certain he's landed a blow that Jasmine can't recover from. To him, this is victory. The audience is buzzing, the insult is hanging in the air, and all eyes are glued to Jasmine. But Jasmine, she doesn't blink. She doesn't fidget. She doesn't let even a flicker of emotion show. And that stillness is terrifying, because in moments like this, silence speaks louder than words. The audience leans closer, whispering nervously. Some are waiting for a meltdown, others for a laugh, but deep down, everyone knows something's coming. Something sharp, something unforgettable. Barron doesn't see it. He's too caught up in his own moment. In his mind, he's already won. He's the one holding the spotlight, but that's about to change. Slowly, Jasmine tilts her head, her eyes fixed on him. It's not anger. It's not fear. It's focus. The kind of focus that cuts through the noise and lands straight on its target, and then she speaks calm, clear, every word sharp enough to slice through the air. I don't need to ask who my mom is, but maybe you should ask your dad. The room explodes. Gasps, laughter, a chorus of shocked voices overlapping each other. The audience can't hold it in. They've just witnessed a verbal knockout. Barron's smirk evaporates instantly. His face tightens, his eyes dart. For the first time, he's the one off balance. The insult he thought would humiliate Jasmine. She's just turned it into a weapon and fired it straight back at him. And the hit is brutal. It's not just what she said. It's how she said it. No yelling, no shouting, no theatrics. Just one calm, razor-sharp line, and that's why it cuts so deep. Because Jasmine didn't just defend herself. She flipped the script. She made Barron the punchline of his own joke. The audience sees it. They feel it. This isn't just a comeback. It's a turning point. In a single moment, the balance of power shifts. Barron's confidence crumbles, and Jasmine is suddenly in full control. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Jasmine knew exactly what she was doing. That silence she held, it wasn't hesitation. It was strategy. She let him think he had her cornered. She let the tension build. She let the audience lean in, and then, when the moment was at its peak, she delivered the line that nobody could forget. That's the kind of timing only the sharpest minds have. Barron thought he was setting a trap, but Jasmine just turned it around and left him standing in it. For the rest of the night, the crowd would keep replaying that line in their heads. Some would laugh. Some would shake their heads. But nobody, not one person, would forget it, because moments like this don't happen often. They're rare. They're electric. They're the kind of exchanges that remind you why words matter, why wit matters, and why staying calm under pressure can be the strongest weapon of all. As for Barron, he sits in silence now, his grin gone, his confidence shaken. Jasmine, on the other hand, sits taller. Not because she shouted, not because she lost her cool, but because in one single savage line, she proved who really owned the room. And the audience? They'll never see her the same way again, because when a comeback hits that hard, it becomes legend. The echo of Jasmine's words still lingers in the room. I don't need to ask who my mom is. But maybe you should ask your dad. The crowd hasn't settled yet. Some are still laughing, others whispering in disbelief, and a few are just frozen, staring at the stage as if they can't quite process what just happened. But here's the truth. What Jasmine did in that single moment went far beyond trading insults. It wasn't just a clapback. It wasn't just a joke. It was something much more powerful. Why? Because moments like this aren't only about the words. They're about what those words represent. Barron had stepped into the spotlight with arrogance. He leaned on his family name, on the power that came with it. He thought he could use it like a shield, or maybe even like a weapon, to corner Jasmine, to make her feel small. But Jasmine showed the complete opposite. She didn't need a famous name to command respect. She didn't need to raise her voice or beg for attention. She used her mind, her wit, her presence. And in that room, it became clear. True strength doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from confidence. Think about it. Every one of us has faced moments where someone tried to knock us down with words. Maybe it was a classmate making a cruel joke in front of everyone. Maybe it was a coworker trying to embarrass you in a meeting. Or maybe it was even a family member taking a cheap shot when they thought you wouldn't fight back. Those moments sting. They make you want to shrink, to escape, to disappear. But Jasmine showed that you don't have to play along with someone else's script. You don't have to give them the laugh they're searching for. Instead, you can flip the script entirely and turn their words into their own downfall. And the beauty of it? You don't have to shout. You don't have to match their energy. In fact, the calmer you are, the more powerful your response becomes. That's why Jasmine's line hit so hard. She wasn't rattled. She wasn't shaken. She delivered it with steady control, showing everyone watching that she wasn't just surviving Barron's insult, she was owning it. And that's what made the difference. Because Barron relied on noise. He relied on spectacle. Jasmine relied on clarity, and clarity always wins. The lesson here stretches far beyond that stage. It's something anyone can carry into their own life. Confidence beats arrogance. Composure beats chaos. And sharp thinking beats cheap shots every single time. Imagine you're in a situation where someone throws shade your way. Most people expect you to either get flustered or lash out. But if you stay calm, if you hold your ground, if you wait for the right moment to respond, you shift the power dynamic completely. That's what Jasmine did. She didn't just win an exchange of words. She reminded everyone that respect is not given because of a name or a title. Respect is earned by the way you carry yourself. And in that moment, she didn't just carry herself well. She carried herself like a master of the stage. For Barron, it was a harsh lesson. For the audience, it was unforgettable. And for anyone paying attention, it was proof that words, when used wisely, can cut deeper than any insult thrown your way. The stage no longer belonged to Barron. It belonged to Jasmine, and that shift is exactly why this moment still matters. The room eventually quiets, but the energy doesn't fade. It lingers like smoke after a fire. Jasmine's words have left a mark that can't be erased. Barron sits in silence now. His confidence, once so bold, has cracked. He looks smaller, not in height, but in presence. And Jasmine? She hasn't moved an inch, but the entire room sees her differently now. That's the power of one moment, one line, one decision to stay calm under pressure. But here's the part people often miss. The real win isn't just in landing the sharper line. It's in the lesson that stays behind, because in life it's never just about the battle of words. It's about the message you send when you're tested. And Jasmine's message was crystal clear: you cannot break me with insults. I decide how much power your words have. Think about how rare that is. So many times, people allow someone else's insult to control them. They react too quickly. They shout. They let anger take over. And in that moment, they lose control of the story. But Jasmine's response flipped the script. She didn't just control her own reaction, she controlled the entire room. That's why people couldn't stop replaying it in their minds. They weren't just remembering what she said. They were remembering how she said it. Calm, steady, powerful. And that's a lesson anyone can use. Maybe it's in the classroom when someone tries to make you the punchline. Maybe it's at work when someone cuts you down to lift themselves up. Maybe it's even at home, when arguments get heated and someone throws words meant to hurt you. In every one of those moments, you have a choice. Do you let them rattle you? Or do you take control, stay calm, and answer in a way they'll never forget? Jasmine showed us the second path, and she showed us how effective it can be. Now here's what makes this story even more gripping. Barron came into that moment believing he had the upper hand. He carried the confidence of someone who thought he couldn't be touched. But Jasmine proved that arrogance without substance is fragile. It can be broken in seconds. Confidence, though, real confidence, is untouchable. That's why Jasmine walked away taller that night even without saying much else. She didn't need to add anything. She didn't need to drag the moment out. She had already said enough. And that silence afterward? That silence was victory. The audience felt it. Barron felt it. And everyone watching knew it, because when someone controls the room with just a few words, you don't forget it. And here's the final truth. This wasn't just a clash of insults. It was a lesson in life, a reminder that words have weight, that the sharpest tool you can carry isn't anger, but composure. That strength isn't in shouting louder, it's in speaking smarter. Jasmine's comeback will be remembered, not because it embarrassed Barron, but because it taught everyone watching something valuable. Don't give away your power, and never underestimate the impact of one calm, razor-sharp line. As the stage lights dim and the echoes fade, the message remains. Jasmine didn't just win an exchange. She won respect. She showed that even when the spotlight turns harsh, you can stand firm and flip the moment to your advantage, and that is why her words, "just one line," will live far beyond that night, because legends aren't built on noise, they're built on moments. And Jasmine's moment was unforgettable.